So the more fun workouts that you're doing, the more repetitive and deliberate your quality sessions need to be. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Coaches on Couches.
Being slouches. Slouching it.
I don't feel
this today.
I don't feel slouchy.
Dale can use both his hands today.
I can. I don't know what to do with my hands right now. So one, if you'll notice, there's been a death in the family. My mustache is its days are over.
The mustache is gone. For those who didn't see it.
Yeah.
It had been a topic of conversation.
Yeah. I'm Coach Dale Sanford. This is Coach Bryant Funston. Be fun, Funstone, Funstonian. All right, so today we're talking about how repetitive your training should be. It's a question that we get a decent amount, and it's kind of one of those things that it's a huge balance. Like if you really want to improve but not lose your mind.
Exactly. That's kind of the balancing act for sure. Is when you constantly do the same thing over and over and over again, eventually you're like, oh my gosh, this is so boring.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you change it up too fast, then you aren't really stressing and improving in the area you're trying to.
But first, shout outs. Yeah. I'm so lost. I don't know what to do with my hands.
And the reason why is
first shout out to our boy Matty behind the cameras here today. He's going to be helping us out for the foreseeable future with the show. Shameless plug. Gonna be helping us out with the show and some of our other digital content for a little bit. My other shout out, a man so dedicated to his craft.
You don't get more dedicated.
No, you don't. So dedicated, he blew out his own ACL in the name of science.
In the name of science.
Max Paquette.
Max, you the man, buddy.
Shout
you
out.
The man.
He's going to be doing a great research project on coming back from an ACL tear.
Yep.
Because he blew his own out. I think he's playing basketball. Was he basketball?
He said, he juked and the knee jived, I think.
Yeah.
And down he went. He said before he even hit the ground, he's like, yep, ACL, gone.
Yeah, and they say before the trainer even got there, there was four guys that were like, okay, how can we do a project with this? Yeah,
he's a
good stuff.
Professor at University of Memphis, and he runs the human performance side of stuff. Yeah,
biomechanics mastermind.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
So shout out Max.
We'll have to get him on here during his recovery.
Yeah,
just to kind of chat about.
See what he did.
He was already talking about cadaver tendons and how to. Man, it was.
The plan is already already in place.
It's in motion.
Any other shout outs?
Shout out to a few of the Los Locos here in town that we work with. David Collins and Hart Robinson went and battled some really horrible weather last Saturday. The first of, I think it's a 4-race series.
The Mississippi Gravel Cup.
Exactly, yeah.
Shout out Mississippi Gravel Cup.
And just looking at the number of DNFs on that, the conditions were horrible. Poor David had flat issues. Said if he was watching his Instagram thing, he's like, I learned you can tie a tube in a knot and still keep moving forward if you. He had numerous flats, but yeah, just battling it out over, it was 97-mile gravel race, so crazy conditions.
Awesome. All right, so talking about how repetitive your training should be. I think the first thing to note here is, ask yourself, if in fact you are looking to improve, which is kind of the focus of this.
Yep.
If you're looking to improve, are you training or are you working out? That's the first thing, because, in our book, working out, you're basically just doing whatever, whenever. There's very little focus to it. And it's not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Some people need it. That's their outlet, thought-free, do whatever, you feel like doing that day. But if you're really looking to improve on something specific, you've got to train, and training has focus. That's the big thing to get there. Training has focus, so that you can actually make an improvement. So the fact of the matter is, training is repetitive for the most part.
In order to get a result in a specific area, you have to kind of work that specific area until you kind of see improvement, increase improvement, and then stop seeing improvement in that area, or you've kind of mastered that aspect of it and move on to the next.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be repetitive year after year, day after day,
Correct.
But during those times of when you are trying to improve, be in peak shape, train for an event, change something about how you are now, we've got to be
training a limiter.
Yeah, we've got to be repetitive.
Yeah.
So what we'll talk about mostly is being repetitive in your focus, in your especially in your quality days or your priority workouts. So real quick, most people, I would say, and I think you probably agree here, if you're in a single sport, you can basically, either you're a cyclist or a runner, essentially, you can handle 2, maybe 3 quality workouts a week.
And the big thing here, quality is different from intensity.
Yeah.
So quality means that more focused, physically and mentally, you want to be really engaged and kind of on point during this, and training whatever specific, either it's energy system, technique, certain aspect of it. But when you start, so it's sort of different from intensity. We wouldn't want you doing max effort, going as hard as you can, finishing completely exhausted 3 times per week.
Right.
But quality being focused, structured, 2 to 3.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. And what I see generally with triathletes is, because you're doing so many more sessions, most of them, it's like a step back. It's like 1 to 2 really quality workouts in each sport.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a case where you're really focusing on one sport, so you may only be maintaining 2 out of the 3, and then you're really hammering on one, where you're doing 4 and 5 sessions a week in one sport.
Yeah.
You might get a third quality workout there, but generally it's 2, in a sport.
Even still though, if you're in each sport, so now that's still a lot of quality workouts.
It's still 6 quality sessions
more than
a week.
What say a cyclist would have.
Right.
And again, this kind of depends on the person too. We've
got
some people who are just machines. They love the trainer. They can knock out 2-hour trainer blocks. The more structure, the better, and mentally they're fine. Yep. So the balancing act here is how much mental unload do you need, which we're going to dive into, relative to that really focused structure.
Yeah, and so that's a good segue into what when you're thinking about how repetitive you need to be, what are we actually trying to balance here? And there's an ideal situation, and then there's you have to adjust for it. So you're basically okay. So how much stimulus do you need to create an adaptation? Or an adaptation. Grammar is not my strong suit. So you have to put enough stimulus on either an energy system or
pain train.
Pain train. There you
go. There we go.
He's got it.
Matthew's on top of it. There we go.
So you have to put enough adaptation to an energy system or into some sort of technique change or something like that. There has to be enough stimulus to create an adaptation. If you don't put enough stimulus, you're never going to create adaptation. So if you think about it,
one workout does not bring about change.
No. And even a lot of times, once a week isn't going to change. Once a month definitely isn't not going to change anything. So we have to have enough stimulus to create an adaptation. The other side of it is enough recovery, which is often missed.
Yep.
You load the stimulus, and then if you never unload all that fatigue, you'll never actually adapt to the training. So we're balancing the unloading portion. Some people get are really bad at unloading the fatigue. Some people are way too good at unloading the fatigue.
They spend too much time on the couch being slouches.
On the couch, yeah. And then obviously on the tail end of that, we have to balance in as amateur athletes, time crunched. This is our outlet. This is our release. We have to balance in the fun.
Oh, for sure.
Which is basically what you were talking about earlier, the mental loading and unloading. When I guess we'd probably agree on this. Most people, when you get into that like really hard focus on something, and especially if it's like VO2 max or like threshold or above efforts, you got like 8 weeks tops.
Yeah.
Until their brain just gives out, And again, some people are machines. Some people can handle it. Some people love it, and those people are usually on an upper level if you really have that kind of mental capacity. But if you don't balance in the fun, eventually the brain gives out, and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not fun at all.
And that's what we've talked about before. And you and I have talked quite a bit about kind of how we've changed as coaches from when we first started to now. Is we now have so much experience, kind of not only learning an individual athlete, but seeing how athletes we've taken through different training blocks, focused, structured, and kind of learning where their breaking point is, and using those as kind of a guideline to then apply to other athletes. And you have people on both ends of the spectrum, but for the most part, a lot of people fall into that kind of 6 week, 8 week tops where you're very specific, specificities really, really up there. You're training the same energy system. So one of the easy ones is for like a time trialist who's trying to have a peak performance at 40K. You're doing quite a bit of specific training the last lead into that, where it's longer, harder blocks, intervals, which they suck. I mean, if you're trying to do those a lot of times each week, you're going to burn out, physically. You're also going to burn out mentally. But you got to have that repetitiveness and that focused, emphasis on teaching a person to stay aero, stay low, keep pressure on the pedals, and pushing, kind of that edge of, can I hold this longer or can I not?
For 50 to,
hour plus, depending on the person. But doing that structured stuff for more than that, usually, 6 weeks is what I found. For most, if you're trying to do, two of those sessions per week, it wears on people.
Sure. So we're talking about you don't have enough stimulus, you don't create an adaptation. You don't have enough recovery, you don't get an adaptation. And then you also risk injury and, mental burnout. And then again, if you don't have enough fun, the burnout happens actually, pretty quickly, 6 to 8 weeks, So what is the ideal situation repetitive wise? So we have to consider that we're trying to make an adaptation in a very specific way. So like an energy system. So that just means, are we trying to increase our threshold? Are we trying to become,
build the matchbook?
On the bike strength, or build the matchbook, or, what is the focus of what are we trying to adapt to? Ideally, we would take those focus workouts that are geared toward that adaptation, and we would repeat those over and over until we stop seeing progress.
And part of the beauty behind doing that repetition is you do see progress, session to session. On a session to session basis, you can kind of see, are you still seeing improvements or are you not? So it's good to have that repetitive nature. Now you got to kind of be careful in regards to that. Like intensity plays a big factor in how often and how much you're going to be repeating this. Something like technique-based. So if your emphasis, your limiter, the thing you're working on is more of a technique-based thing, that's something that you should be incorporating into each workout. I mean, that's something that even if you're not focused on it for the entire workout, that's something you should be focused on at least for some portion of each workout where you're really reinforcing. I mean, if you take more of your kind of mainstream sports, back when I was playing basketball, our practices were very, very repetitive. Mm-hmm. Like I could pretty much tell you what our first hour of practice was going to be, just because we hammered through the same fundamentals, the same technique essentially stuff, and it happened every day. If you get away from that, if you aren't paying attention to it, the technique goes to crap. Your efficiency goes way down. So then, okay, you may be improving power, but if you're wasting it because your technique and efficiency goes way downhill, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice there.
Yeah. So, that's the ideal. Like you just repeat, until we don't see, basically you see a plateau, mm-hmm. and then you change it, and then we change the stimulus, whether it be the load via intensity or whatever, mm-hmm. or we move to a different adaptation that we want and come back later, So now the adjusted thing to that actually works pretty well with most people is, what you're trying to change. You pick the focus, what you're trying to improve on. So now you build the focus workouts all with very the same focus, but you change the loading method. So basically we could do, if we're working on VO2 max stuff with a runner, we can do, a 12 by 400 workout. And then the next week with a little bit of a, as long as the paces are scaled properly, you can do a 6 by 800, mm-hmm. and it's basically the same load. We just change the workout up so the person mentally is not saying, I gotta do the same workout for 4 weeks or 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. So that's what I found that works the best.
Then you can come back to the 400s,
yep.
and essentially each workout can kind of be a retest
right.
of where you're at. You get a better feel. Experience brings about so much progress, really.
Yep.
The first time we have a person ever do a full all-out 20-minute assessment, there's a lot of variability. Like, was it really as hard as they could go for 20? Did they leave too much in the tank? But the more they've learned what it feels like, and you have a number that you've hit before, that you can hit again, it makes it a lot easier to push yourself past that. Because now you do have that benchmark that you've set before. So repeating workouts is huge because now you've set a benchmark to beat.
Yeah, so if you're using repeating workouts but adjusting the loading of each one, I would still repeat. Like if you're going in like a let's say a 3-week loading block, mm-hmm. The general is 3 weeks load and then unload. Yeah. If you're going in 3 weeks, I would take the first block and do the same workout every other week.
Yeah.
So then you're getting that same workout. The first workout, you're getting it twice in a block, mm-hmm. and then the following block, you'll repeat the next twice. Yeah. So you're getting that workout, in 8 weeks, you'll do the workout 3 times or more. Mm-hmm. But you're still doing similar workouts focused on the same energy system, limiter, technique, whatever. Yeah. So you're still getting repetitiveness for that limiter, that improvement.
While keeping it interesting.
Yeah, while keeping it more interesting. And having enough repetitiveness to track progress easily. Yeah. So that's like our ideal. For some, they hinge more on the fun aspect than anything else. Not to say that you can't get improvements that way, but when you hinge on fun, like what we mean by that is you do like 3 group rides a week, or you're constantly doing workouts with other people that affect your workout and
very unfocused.
Yeah, very unfocused workouts.
You're responding to someone else rather than forcing your body to be structured and hit.
And I go back to calling it a workout because essentially there's no focus to it. Mm-hmm. So the more fun workouts that you're doing, the more repetitive and deliberate your quality sessions need to be. So if you're going to do a ton of fun workouts and you still want to make an improvement in threshold or in speed or something, you have to hit that very similarly every week after week, because that's going to you have to keep that stimulus going, and your body rewards you for doing.
You're essentially giving up. We talked about 3 kind of focused workouts initially for say a cyclist.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're 3 of your say 5 rides are group rides, or sometimes it's 4 of the 5 rides. Mm. For some people, it's all their rides are group rides. So you're getting way away from that focus stuff. So you got to be more focused if you're increasing the fun number of rides and going away from say 3 structured to 1 structured. Like Dale was saying, you got to be really dialed in to what your essentially by that point in time it's what's your limiter and what aren't you getting from your fun rides. I enjoy a group ride as much as the next person, but here in Memphis, if you go and do a group ride, a harder group ride, you get really good at doing kind of 30 to 90 second efforts.
Yeah.
And then
that's about it.
Then it's recover.
And it's like pretty much 5 minutes max on most of the rides, unless it's like a hot spot where it's a nice long section, but then you're still coming in and out of, like, even if you get in a good rotation and you get tired, and most people sit on the back, so you really only worked hard for 3 minutes, and now out of that long section you've broken it into efforts that aren't specific to anything. So I mean, the more fun that you have, which is fine, we just have to take those quality days that you set for yourself and make them pretty similar. I mean, and pick the adaptation that you want to make, whether it's bike specific strength or threshold, or
that's usually
sprint
what we see
efforts
for the cyclists listening. I mean, that's the one thing, and for triathletes as well. I mean, triathletes, you're in a very steady state sport.
Yep.
And if you're just doing group rides for your training, we've done a blog post on it before. If you look at the number of spikes and falls that happen on the volatility index is what it's called if you're on Training Peaks, but the number of spikes and falls that you get on a group ride relative to then you look at your bike leg of your triathlon, I mean,
very different,
very little variation, steady state power, constantly grinding it. You're not training the system and the stimulus that you're going to be racing at if all you're doing is group riding. So
the big
back
thing
to that repetitive nature. You got to have that one ride at least per week where you're doing that pressure on the pedals, consistent, steady, avoiding the spikes, not allowing the recoveries kind of effort.
That's the number one thing I see with triathletes who train with a group a lot, like on the bike. I mean, the sport is very steady, and when you go on a group ride, it's fine to like go on a group ride, but you get so much starting and stopping, and you sit in and then you don't pedal, and then people spend 30% or more of their group ride not pedaling,
and you're not in the aero bars,
not putting out an effort anywhere near your what your race would require. So there has to be that specific quality day, and it has to be week after week after week of very tri-specific riding.
What you're not getting on your fun days that are going to allow you to continue improving.
I would say
something else I do like that I like to work in. So I'm not someone that says every workout has to be super structured. I like to work in structure on a group ride. And if you're on a ride where you're just at your limit the whole time, you can't really do that. But if it's a ride where you're able to, okay, there's 4 times where I'm going to attack and stay out as long as I can.
Brian's that jerk that doesn't tell anybody that he's about to... I'm just going to do a quick tempo interval and zoom off the front and make everybody chase me.
No, the worst are the people that I'm only working 30-second bursts today, so I'm just going to attack for 30 seconds and then recover and attack, and everyone starts chasing, and you sit up and what? What's going on? Let's keep going. But having some focus on a group ride is something you can do too. And it's a great time to work and kind of play around with different things. So I'll have athletes where it's like, okay, there's 3 sprint spots on this ride. I don't want you being involved in the sprint. I don't care where you finish on a sprint. Your focus today is that last 2K, stay on the front as long as you can. When the first person comes by you, then you're going to recover, sit up and recover. You're the lead out man, but see if you can do it for 2K. And now you're getting a 6-minute effort in, or 4-minute effort, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
2K, you're probably doing it faster than that, but it's uphill. It was uphill.
That's I mean, it's a little off topic, but yeah, you can definitely turn a group ride or a group run or anything into a quality session if you just accept the fact that you need to do what you need to do at certain times, and the group may or may not understand. I mean, just let them know.
Find new friends.
Yeah, find new friends. I think the last point that I like to make, that like if something technique based is the adaptation that you're trying to make, whether it's running mechanics, swim techniques, huge, or bike pedal stroke mechanics or something like that. If it's a mechanical thing, those quality sessions have to be super repetitive and like close together, and they have to be done. Daily, it has to be done, and those are the type of things that you work into warm-ups and stuff like that. You can't just do technique work once a week and expect to make
and then forget about it, and hope your body's just gonna.
It's never gonna happen. I mean, generally when I get you get the freedom with it. When I get the freedom with a triathlete to work on technique, they will do the same 2 to 3 workouts for 6 to 8 weeks straight, and sometimes they don't. They say, I need something different. Just give me something different. Yeah. Sometimes they do it on their own. They don't ask. Yeah. But in order to make those improvements in the water and technique, which is a huge limiter for 95% of the adult onset swimmers.
Sounds like a adult onset.
I didn't make that. Shout out Slow Twitch. That's like that wasn't me. But yeah, I mean, you have to be super repetitive if you want to make any type of headway in technique.
Yeah, you're essentially rewriting the brain-body connection there. And that's something that requires that very repetitive, sometimes redundant. We talk about it with our hop cycling crew when we spend 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. So 8 to 12 sessions, 2 times per week, just dialing in and hammering through. And we tell them, you're not going to get it most likely the first time or the second time or the third time. Be patient with it. Keep working on it. Work on it when you're also, when you're not in the class and you're doing it on your own, but eventually it's going to come around. You start clicking. Yeah. But if you do it once, get frustrated and don't do it again, or do it once, think you nailed it and don't do it again, you're going to lose it, or you're never going to master it. So it's got to be a constant.
Yeah. And then the comments start, 4 weeks, 6 weeks later, the comments start rolling in. People are on their weekend group ride and they're like, my pedal stroke just feels so smooth. I started using some of those techniques and gosh, I never knew that I was so bad at pedaling.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I think that's it. That's all I got for today. As far as, repetitive training, I mean, you just kind of have to accept the fact that if you really want to make any type of adaptation, you've got to repeat workouts. You've got to be repetitive and deliberate about it. Know
what you're going to train. So not just working out, but you got to focus, and then repeating it. See the gains once you stop seeing the
track
gains.
Your progress.
If you're constantly trying to do everything all at once, when you do see improvement, you aren't really sure what caused it either. So it's kind of tough to, kind of repeat it later on. But know where your breaking point is, and you have to keep it fun. It's better to be doing something than doing nothing. Yep. So focus is super great, but if it's something that causes you to burn out and hate the sport, then obviously that's not a good thing.
No good.
Cool. That's all I got.
All right. That's all we got for today. Thank you guys for hanging out. We'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.
Adios.